Hello, Happy New Year. Welcome to the Coaching Crowd podcast with me, Jo Wheatley, and my friend and co-host, Zoe Hawkins.
Hi, everybody. We're really excited to be here today to talk to you about how you can accelerate your coach CPD in 26. And the reason we're bringing this to you was multifaceted, actually, but we know that many coaches don't take the time to prioritize or think about their CPD. And whilst we're in a fresh new year and there's lots of the ethos of New Year's resolutions going around, why not take some time and a pause to think about ourselves as we step into a brand new year? So where should we begin this one, Jo?
Well, I think we can talk about our own experience of CPD first of all. So, as Master Accredited Coaches, we've obviously had to do a lot of CPD. So by CPD, we mean continuous professional development during the years. And it's one of the things we love about coaching is that we get to kind of feed that desire to grow and learn continuously. But we tend to do it in a binge fashion. So we'll have years where we do 2 or 3 big programs. We might think to ourselves, what are we doing? Why am I here of a weekend doing this? Oh my gosh, this doesn't really fit in, but this is really important to me. And then we might have another year where we focus more on business development and developing our knowledge in other areas that perhaps aren't so purist in a coaching sense. And then obviously we have our hats on as the founders of In Good Company, which is an accredited coach training provider. So we have our signature CPD programs, but we're also launching something really exciting at the start of this year. And that is essentially your 2026 CPD one-stop shop in bite-size lessons based on the most popular podcast episodes. This podcast that we've ever done, and it's to support you as coaches with topics that clients actually bring to coaching, because we know that in foundational coaching training, you're taught more around coaching psychology rather than necessarily the things that people bring to it. So we wanted to help you at the start of the year be able to sit down and create a plan that's going to fit for you. And you might have just had your reminder from the ICF or the EMCC or the Association for Coaching that you're due for reaccreditation. If you're already an existing coach, you think, oh my goodness, have I put everything on my CV? When did I last do it? Have I got enough? Or you might be somebody that's in the process of getting accredited for the first time, and perhaps you're a bit unsure of where to start. So by the end of this podcast episode, hopefully we'll have talked you through some things that can help you with that.
Yeah. You talk about binging CPD, and I sort of see it as a bit of a wagon where I fall off it and I get on it and I fall off it and I get on it. And CPD sometimes takes me by surprise in 2 ways. One is there's a deadline like reaccreditation. And then I realize, oh my gosh, I've got all this work to do before I need to reaccredit. But also from an energetic perspective, like I'll get to a point in the year where I'll be thinking, I feel like I need some stimulation and some challenge and some growth. And I'm not a planner by nature. So I think when it comes to planning CPD, I know how helpful it is when I do it, when I take the time to sit back and think more strategically around actually what would be really good for me as a coach, what would be good for my coaching practice in terms of the way I want to serve my clients. And as Jo shared, we're launching some bite-sized CPD, but before that, we're also going to be sharing with you an accelerator event that you can join us on to help build out CPD plan even more. So I think reasons for why to take the time to invest in planning your CPD are so that your year is focused and intentional. And you can sit back at the start of the year knowing that actually you've got so much to look forward to, because CPD is really invigorating, really enriching. It stimulates not, I think, just your skills as a coach, but the way that you approach your coaching practice, either as a leader in an organization or as an independent business owner. It opens opportunities, it opens doors, it opens different ideas. And so I think there's so many reasons for taking time now to take a pause and think ahead of 2026 about your CPD.
Yeah, and in some ways, CPD and the decisions that you make about that can really affect your year. I wouldn't go as far as to say it can make or break it, but it certainly can really influence it. So coaches can get compassion fatigue. We need to think about how we fill our own cup up, how we have the opportunities to work on the things that we want to work on related to ourselves and CPD. If you're in a facilitated cohort with opportunities to practice and get feedback, you usually get coached too. Brilliant. That's so amazing to have that opportunity. also you want to be mindful that you aren't just collecting random certificates along the way because you need to. Like, I personally love when I stumble across something that I didn't even know I needed, but all of a sudden I found myself on a web page or something that's caught my interest. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I want to sign up for this. It feels like a real bonus. And people give different things to themselves, don't they? And I think for coaches who love to learn, often CPD is like a gift to ourselves, but also we want our learning to impact the work that we do with our clients. Sometimes it's about making that easier. Sometimes it's about building our confidence. Sometimes it's about obviously inclusivity. It can be around just getting more enjoyment, extending the services that we're able to offer. So if you want to feel more confident, maybe more current, then spending time thinking about, what do I want to do? Why do I want to do it? What are my current strengths? Where are my gaps between where I am now with my coaching and where I want to get to with my coaching? Will just start to help you to form a plan that's going to be something that will form the backbone of your year.
It's funny you talk about stumbling upon things, Jo, because how many times have we stumbled upon things and then kicked ourselves because our diaries are full? Like, so many times we found amazing programs online and we go to look at when the live training is and we can't make it because of whatever, like already got client commitments in our diaries or our own trainings that we're facilitating, and we've missed out on so many opportunities. And after a while, sometimes, you carry on with business and you carry on with life and you carry on with service and you forget about that original CPD program. And then it's like, where did I find that one? What was that thing that I wanted to do at the start of the year? And it's lost, and that moment has passed. So I think there's a real practical element to thinking about CPD as well that's important, is to put those anchor points in your diary and be able to look ahead knowing that actually you've taken care of something that's really important.
Yeah. And I think with CPD, what I also experience is I'll find a program that I'm like, oh my, yeah, that looks great. And it's not too big, not too small, like it's got enough depth. And I get to like, when can I do it? And the program's just started. It's like a month after it started. I'm like, what's the next date? And on loads of places, there is no other dates. There is nothing. So then I find myself, I did this recently. So I thought I'll sign up to the mailing list because then I'll get notified of the next thing. And I'm waiting for them to email me. But of course, by the time we've moved on another 4 weeks, I'll have forgotten I've added to that email list or how I felt when I had, when I did that. So, and this is happening outside of life too, with my son who's like, he's GCSE year, he's looking at things, when people are looking at apprenticeships or, different degrees, it's like, you've got to get ahead of the game because you've got to understand how the decisions you make now are going to influence the next decisions. And it's so easy to miss the cutoff. And we have this on our neurodivergent inclusive coaching program where January's already got sold out, let's say I think it was around about September, October time, and people are desperate to start it now, but the next program isn't until July. I mean, there is at least another program people can join or can do self-guided, but the sooner you can make these decisions, the better. And it also helps you to plan financially
Yeah.
because, that obviously is an important consideration as well.
I think there's a piece around CPD is to be able to step into CPD in the right energy. And what I mean by that is not doing a CPD program because you think you're lacking in some capacity. So some coaches don't feel enough until they've collected, the different modalities that they need to collect. And then they'll feel like they're a valuable coach. And actually, I think when you plan ahead and you think about it, as you described, Jo, thinking about your strengths, thinking about the gaps, thinking about the impact that you want to have, you can step into a CPD program knowing confidently that it is the right fit for you for the right reasons. So you're not making panicked decisions about, oh my gosh, I've seen so many coaches doing this thing and it must be really important in the industry, so I should get ahead of that and get myself on it as well. It's like, no, stay in your own lane and think about what is important to you, what's important to your clients, and how can you enter into a program with an aligned energy and the perspective of how it's going to make a difference to you.
Yeah. So I think having a semi structure can help because sometimes, I mean, the fact that it is abbreviated to CPD, it kind of feels a bit soulless. And I think it's important to get back to what is it? What is the purpose of this? Why is it that it is so valuable? And if I think about last Friday, I was at rugby practice with my kids, sat in the car, trying to keep warm with my laptop perched on the passenger seat because I was having a catch up with people that were on a program I was in a cohort with about 18 months ago, and everybody wanted to catch up. We haven't caught up for a while. And so we all made it work, in various different things. Of course, not everybody could attend, but it's the connection. And I will always remember that feeling on that program of what a special group of people that was that I wouldn't have come into contact with had I not been on that program. And the fact that we all choose to still spend time together outside of the program. And of course, some people haven't finished it. Some people finish it really quickly. Some people are desperately trying to see if they can still complete it. But everybody is using that content in different ways. And that's amazing. And we're part of what we were doing was sharing not only what's happening in our lives, but how have we used what we learned? How has it shaped us as a person? And whether that is helping us in something outside of work that we're dealing with, or how it's shaped future CPDs that we kind of seek, that because sometimes you don't know what exists until you've done a CPD. And then that opens up this whole other world for you that can be really exciting and energizing. So I think the community and connection with other coaches, people that understand what the experience is like of being a coach, is just so valuable, even in its own right.
Yeah, and I reflect back on when I finished my original coach training, and I really didn't want the journey to end, like for so many reasons. One was I definitely didn't feel from the course that I did, which is very different then as to the programs that we provide now, but I definitely didn't feel equipped to be working with clients in the way that I wanted to. So there was a piece around building my skills in certain areas, but it was more so around like the passion that I had discovered and found for this craft. And I knew how vast the coaching industry was. And I almost wanted to swallow it whole. And I was like, right, give me all of it. I want to take this whole thing in. And I think there is value in the early stages of your journey to continue on the learning journey, because there is so much to learn. That's the reality. Like, foundational coach training is brilliant for helping you to get yourself set up and to work with clients. And you can expand your container in so many ways with all the range of different CPDs that are out there. And when you're fresh into coaching and you've got momentum and you've got passion, sometimes I think if you've taken a break from CPD, and like you said, Joe, your diary can get filled with so many different things, whether it's life or business, but when you're used to holding space for your learning, it's a brilliant time to continue on that journey to maintain the momentum and the excitement for the growth that you're experiencing.
I think talking to other people about other coaches about what's on their CPD plan can inspire, because sometimes we can set the bar low and think, oh, I'm just going to do something like this year because I'm busy doing that. But then when you speak to other people who talk about programs that they've been on and the way they talk about it, then you can think, I hadn't even thought about doing that, or that sounds amazing, I didn't even know that existed. And it's fantastic that there's a whole wide menu of like buffet of CPD that you can do. And it's important that you take time to think about, where am I now? Like, so we're at the start of 2026. Where am I on my coaching journey? What are my options? What are my capacity? Like, if I look at the year ahead, when have I perhaps got pockets of time that I could spend on filling my own cup up, developing insights. Now, you might find that sometimes I think people go on a CPD program and it can put them off doing more because maybe it wasn't quite as they expected or quite what they wanted. But I think you can always look at, but what did I get from that? And what did I learn about my CPD needs? Because you might not fully understand what your needs are. So if we can base it off old things that we thought or how things used to be, but you might learn that bite-sized learning works better for you, or you prefer really intensive programs where you're together every week. When you start to map that out into a timeline, you'll start to learn more about what is and isn't possible for you in the year ahead. Otherwise, before we know it, it's September and nearly another year is gone. And when you are asked to submit your CV for something, you find you haven't done anything since 2022.
Yeah, and those CV requests can come from like other coaches who are looking to onboard a number of coaches in for a project that they have. It can come from a tender that you might want to be a part of. It might come from an organization who's requesting something really specific, and you kick yourself, don't you, if you haven't got it. And I just want to go back to what you said around CPD not always giving you what you want, because I can so vividly remember a time when I was on a CPD program. It was day one, and I sent you a text saying, I don't know if this is genius or totally bonkers. Like, I genuinely couldn't tell at that stage. And it turned out to be neither, because it was a mediocre experience, but I got a huge amount from it still and it's what you go in looking for, and it's the mindset that you go in. And I think sometimes preparing for CPD is getting yourself into a place of open-mindedness, open heart, open will to be able to experience whatever that is going to deliver for you. It's rare you'll find something perfect, but when you do, there's just such wonderful experiences. Yeah. So I still laugh, and I wonder what this year will bring for me as I step in. I'm going to be doing some CPD this year myself, so I wonder what this year will bring for me.
I think also that we have a lot of people in our groups who've done an apprenticeship, and so they've been, the training has been funded by the organisation, but the organisation might not be prepared to invest in the CPD. But you might, as an apprentice doing the coaching apprenticeship, you're likely to have fallen in love with coaching and want more. And you might feel that, like, the level 5 that the coaching apprenticeship is at hasn't quite given you exactly what you know, that already that there are gaps and that you want to fill them. And I think it can be quite a leap going from your organization funding you to you needing to fund yourself, perhaps for your CPD, because that's more around you identifying as a coach and starting to shift the identity to becoming accredited, with a body. And your organization may not need you to do that. They're happy that you've got those skills.
I spoke to somebody just this week, Jo, who had trained to be a coach 10 years ago and didn't want to repeat a coaching training because they'd invested money, they'd invested time, they'd got that certification. But obviously, between completing that certification and today, there hasn't really been the client practice. And yes, read books, listened to podcasts, but didn't feel valid, I suppose, as a coach. And so we talked about different options, of one of which was a CPD route. It's like, if you've got your original coach training, it is in there. Sometimes it's confidence. It's confidence to almost get back on the horse, get back on the wagon and start coaching and working with people. But you don't want to go and experiment with client work, do you? You want to feel, when you step into that space, that you know that you're going to be able to hold that client in the capacity at which they have either paid for or are expecting of you as a leader, if you're working more in an internal capacity. Taking a CPD route to help squash that timeline between when you coached and where you are today, I think is hugely valuable, and you can go into specialisms or you can do something more generic, but you definitely don't need to go back and repeat your coach training if you did it a number of years ago. It's more about looking at, again, coming back to, what do I need? What do I need to be able to, one, feel confident, but also two, be capable to stand in the coaching industry as it is today, as opposed to perhaps the one that you were a part of 10 years ago, because things have moved and changed. And CPD is a great refresher. So should we tell people, Jo, about the event that we've got running starting in January?
So we decided to call it a CPD Accelerator. After talking to ChatGPT about good titles, that was the one that we kind of landed on. So hope that talks to you. And it's really, as we say, is about helping you to dedicate some time to it, rather than it being a thing on your to-do list that you never quite get round to prioritizing. It's going to be half an hour every day, and it will be held in a private group. You can sign up to the Accelerator at igcompany.com/CPD
2026,
because nobody knows how to spell accelerator. Well, we don't anyway. And so we will be sharing with you like a small workbook each day. We'll be live in the group talking you through it. It's an opportunity for you to communicate with us in there and be part of a community. It will be held on the 12th to the 16th of January 2026. And on that final day, we will have a community event or a workshop that Zoe and I will host to bring everybody together. And we'll also be talking about the new short course options that we have, because we know a lot of our courses are very in-depth, very rich and very deep. And we have a lot of people in our community who've been asking us for some shorter bite-sized options. And also, as I mentioned earlier, we have a lot of people that have done apprenticeships and they want to do the next step. And it's easy to get overwhelmed with all the different choices. So we thought it would be helpful to be able to give people essentially CPD for a year in one thing. And we're making it super, super affordable. So if you want to sign up for the CPD Accelerator so that you can get that vision and clarity for your year ahead, you can sign up at igcompany.com/CPD 2026.
Can't wait to see you there.